exactly what we see. Why are there gaps in musical scales? Because the scale is created by a melodic series that is pleasing to the ear. So God created, as we said, out there, the stars, as pleasing to the eye, so we would want to look at it. Now, I'm not putting anybody's appearance down, but if I'm sitting in a classroom and I see a really cute girl, I'm going to stare at her. If I see a girl sitting next to her that I don't think is very pleasing to my eyes, I'm not even going to notice her. And this is why God created the universe He did, because it makes us want to look at it. It's why He created all the biology like He did. It makes us want to see it. It makes us want to observe it and learn more about it. This is inherent in our creation because of the way everything is created around us. All right? And this is what we see in music. If somebody just came up to the piano and started banging on piano, you wouldn't want to listen to that very long. That's my parents. I mean, we took piano growing up, and I'll tell you, the worse I played, the less they wanted to hear. But the better I played the musical compositions, the more they wanted to hear it all the time because it was something soothing and pleasing to the ear. So if we saw this gradual change of an infinity of notes between C4 and C5 like evolution predicts, we wouldn't want to have anything to do with creation. And we would hate being here. There would be more war than we have now. There would be more violence. There would be more murder and all these kind of things that we discussed at the outset. Why? Because we wouldn't care for it. We want to destroy it anyway to get it away from us. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? Now, if we had discrete scales, and somebody had planned this out ahead of time, then we could see beautiful compositions of things. Things would be able to come together and reproduce after its own kind, more beautiful composition. You see, and it would be pleasing to our eyes. It would be pleasing to our life and pleasing to our ears. Okay, so, now, in the same way the gaps in the fossil record are there because that is what is socially pleasing to the order of organizational systems of life and also the most pleasing arrangement to the eye, which is what art can be defined as. So God created this great big huge painting of living art. In each note is contained an infinity of other tones. We hear, according to Fourier analysis, the aggregate or result of the combination of all these tones as one harmonic. That's what we hear. That's one harmonic. Together in harmony. If we included all these transitional tones on any scale, we would not hear anything but noise. If we could hear all of this infinity of tones equally, well, we wouldn't hear nothing but noise. You hear this. That's all you hear. Just like if you get a radio dial in between frequencies, all you hear is a bunch of noise and static. Or a television in between frequencies that it's supposed to get, you see static. This is what creation would be if we had an infinity of gradual change over time. We would see nothing but complete static. All right? I just shouted you. Sorry. All right. And this is not what we see in nature. We do not see this in nature. We do not see it in the fossil record. There are no transitional forms in the fossil record because it is impossible to have transitional forms based on these principles. Every genetic, fossil, and taxonomic observation becomes proof of this over the past 150 years that we've collected now. What you have to remember is that Darwin proposed his theory without any of this data that we've collected over 150 years. All right? He had no observational data to promote his theory. It was based on nothing but an idea of speculation. This theory that I'm offering today is based on the data of 150 years, of millions of man-hours, and trillions of dollars. Therefore, if this is correct, what can creationists predict about the fossil record itself based on all observable data from paleontology? Number one, there will always be gaps in the fossil record because there are absolutely not enough or any credible transitional fossils to support any other interpretations of the data. Number two, any taxonomic distribution or homologous series will always show this distinct, neatly arranged scale of biological diversity and social order. Number three, there is a mathematical and perfect scale for biodiversity that cannot and will never be crossed based on the inverse square law. I'm going to do the proof of this in just a second. For evolution to be true, it would require an infinite amount of transitional forms to go from one note to another note on this musical scale. Since this is impossible, according to these principles, the theory is useless, and the fossil record becomes a complete and partial proof of creation by the spoken word. And by partial, I mean it is only one section of the proof of biogenesis. But it is in itself a complete proof of biological diversity. On the widespread occurrence of the inverse square distribution in social sciences and taxonomy. These are done by a bunch of Italians in Switzerland. I'm going to read a few quotes from their research. Taxonomy is one of the major classification schemes in use in all natural and social sciences. Taxonomic trees carry information about the laws. Oh, sorry, I skipped that too much. The main underlying assumption driving a taxonomic class partition is that the entities under study are hierarchically organized. For example, in biology, 4 different species, lions, tigers, lynxes, and cats, can be grouped into 2 genera, lions and tigers, which in turn belong in the same family. And that's what we showed. I don't want to skip that. That's what we showed. Kingdom, phylum, order, class, species, all those things that we showed earlier. Now, which in turn belong to the same family. In social sciences, different communities can be grouped in the same community and so on. Supporters of different soccer teams can be grouped at a higher level as soccer fans that in turn, together with fans of other disciplines, can be grouped as sports fans and so on. And that's what we showed. The kingdom down into the different other classes. So you have the kingdom of sports fans. They can be subgrouped into different types of sports fans. They can be subgrouped into types of players, which can be subgrouped into so forth and so on. And that's how taxonomy of all biology goes. Okay, does everybody understand that? Does it get a picture of that? Now, taxonomic trees carry information about the laws of organizations, of organisms, and communities. In addition, in the last decade, much work has been devoted to the study of the statistical features of taxonomic trees in the hope that they could reveal some general patterns or organization. And I'll just go down and highlight these. I don't have to read the whole thing for you. An inverse square parallel relation was found. So all the biological distribution that is contained within taxonomic trees is based on this inverse square law. Nobody created this tree to be this way. This is a result, a consequence of the taxonomic evaluation and institution that we have created over time of everything we've ever observed on planet Earth in its terrestrial systems. So this is the resultant of all that classification. Nobody planned it to be this way. It just came out that way. And the reason it came out that way is linked back to the sun and the fact that all terrestrial systems vibrate in unison with the sun. Now, the robustness of such a law across different taxa and kingdoms points to some universal property of these systems. That universal property is acoustics, the principle of acoustics. It's inescapable universal consequence of the tree-building algorithm. The cumulative distribution instead wouldn't have shown. Anyway, I'm just going to skip on here. Now, the fossil record all DNA observations are proof of acoustical biogenesis.